welcome to the inaugural meeting of MD, Mason and Danielle from the MD studios here in Escondido, California. Today, we're going to be talking about the top 5 things you should do to succeed in real estate. You just got your real estate license, so now what do you do? As Danielle knows, she's a new licensee agent, and she got passed with flying colors, but then the real world is completely different.
It totally is.
Then what you do, take the test. So we're going to go over the top 5 things that you can do to help you become successful and hopefully get you on the right path. So the first thing to do is set up a podcast and do studio stuff. No, that's not the first thing to do. And a lot of people do these like TikToks and what have you, but really what you want to do is find yourself a mentor. Someone that you want to, learn from, that's going to show you the ropes. You want to make sure they're not too busy and that they have the ability to field your phone calls and text messages, because real estate happens all hours of the day, all days of the week. And usually when you're out of town or can't get a hold of someone, that's when you need an answer. So definitely you want to find a mentor. Now, what do you look for in a mentor? Someone who likes to give their information. A lot of top producers don't like to share their secrets. They're doing stuff to succeed, and now that they're succeeding, they don't want to share it with the world because they're scared. Once you learn the tricks, you're going to go out and use them and beat them on listing appointments. So usually an agent who's further along in their career usually might be a very good mentor because they're looking to kind of like downsize some things. So you want to find a mentor. Now, when I was running offices and the new agent would walk in, the first thing they asked was, "What's my split?" I knew they were not going to succeed. You know why? Because 100% of nothing is still nothing.
Yeah.
And you need to have the guidance and support. Danielle, like when you first started in real estate, how did it feel?
It's so funny because as you're talking, I'm like, there's so many things I want to comment on here. So it was really hard. I did not start out with a mentor at first. I started out at an office at a very known large corporation in real estate. I had a really awesome branch manager. I like him personally, but there wasn't any support. It's kind of like, here's your license. Now what? How do I do an open house? How do I get buyers? How do I list a home? How do I get business cards? I mean, just really basic stuff. Like, how do I even schedule listings or schedule appointments? So there's none of that's on the exam,
That is so true. And no one shows you how to get the business cards or what to say when people walk into an open house.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do another video about how to hold a successful open house. That's coming up later this month. And we're going to go through the greet and retreat tactics. But a little teaser on that. We're going to hold an open house. You greet someone, you give them their information, and then you retreat to the most social room in the house, which is known as the kitchen. And you hang out there, and that's where you talk about real estate. But that's going to be on the next class. And Danielle's been, so then after you're at that office, you went to another brokerage and we're looking for kind of support and what have you, which brings up number 2. Here's the second thing you need. You need classes. You need instruction. Now, the fact that you're here right now tells me that you're eager to learn, which is a good step. But it's really good to be with a brokerage or with a program where they have a weekly class or something that will kind of plug you in. Because unfortunately, in real estate, no one tells you to get up and go to work every day. You can sit on your couch just as easy and say reasons why I don't want to do this. But if you have a schedule and we meet on Wednesdays, it will help keep you accountable.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if you know this, but Danielle is actually a professional bodybuilder, and a lot of the stuff that she does in the gym, she can translate into real estate, such as scheduling, such as discipline. For example, so the class, you want to have like a weekly class or a weekly schedule. Now, what would be a good weekly schedule for you? Let's just go with the gym thing, because this is reps in real estate. How many times a week do you want to get there?
So I go to the gym. I lift 6 days a week. 1 day a week is what I call my rest day. Occasionally I'll do a little bit of cardio that day, but usually I don't. That's my day that I do meal prep and everything else. But 6 days a week is lifting.
Okay, fantastic. Now, do you think you'd see the same results if you went once a month?
Yeah, probably not.
So what you want to do is have that weekly class. Now that goes into my number 3 most important things in real estate and how to succeed. And this one is really interesting, but this is the vibe. Now, I want to make sure that people get into real estate because it's a fun job, or it can be a fun job. You can make a ton of money or you can make 0. And also in our industry, 90% of the agents make a very small amount of money. Did you know, NAR, National Association of Realtors, the average real estate agent makes how much? Drum roll.
Per year?
Per year. I'll give you three things that they make $100,000 a year, $50,000 a year, or $30,000 a year.
Oof. Average, I'd say probably 30 because there's a lot of agents not producing.
That's right. The average real estate agent in the United States makes $36,000 per year. So when I first got into the business a long time ago, my professor said, it was the teacher said, if you don't make 100 grand in this job, don't do it, because there's other jobs you can do where you have a far better schedule than real estate. You can make a decent income. So you want to shoot for the stars. Now, make $100,000 in real estate. We're going to tell you how. That's another show on the step-by-step on how to do that. But we want to talk about the vibe. You walk into some offices, and Danielle, share what you want, but you don't have to say any names, but you ran across a couple of people who are not so cool, and it made you not want to go to work every day. Is that right?
Well, what you got to kind of realize is when you're new in any industry, but this was my experience with real estate, is that some people, obviously Mason is not an example of this, but some people, I don't want to say prey on this kind of thing, but they see the advantages that they can have with somebody that's new. So someone like me at one point, that just walking into a business, not knowing anything, I don't really know what to look for as far as like splits, like commission splits. I don't know what to look for as far as like what's provided to me. So our business cards provided, our signs provided, what information is provided, how often am I expected to show up to the office, like what sort of material is there for me. And that kind of depends not only from brokerage to brokerage, but also like this experience I had was with a particular team. And so there were a lot of things that were promised, but they weren't written down in the contract. And then really when it came to it, it was the same experience I had at the first brokerage that was kind of like, well, good luck, and also we're going to take a higher percentage because you're being represented by our team. And that person in particular, I didn't realize this. I don't know if it was in the contract and I didn't see it or whatever, but any listing that even if I were to get it on my own, on the MLS was showing as his listing. So I wasn't even technically getting credit for any of them. So, which looks really bad.
Well, that's a really, really good point. And unfortunately, that happens more times than it doesn't.
Yeah.
What happens a lot with these different, people is when they're looking to attract or recruit agents, they'll tell you everything you want to hear. And as soon as you sign up, you're looking for all the things that were promised. And you're like, where you don't even have free coffee anymore? Machine, or have I want some espresso or coffee, but that happens a lot. And then also what happens, and it's unfortunate, but it's true. And one thing about this show, I want to be was it brutally honest? Is that the right way to say it? Veteran agents will prey upon newbies. They'll see you and they're going to go ahead and use you for your time, your resources, and have you do things where they're not really going to pay you to do, like, drive people around forever who's never going to buy a house, or go pick up their signs, or do other stuff. And because you're new and you want to please people, you say yes more than no. And then next thing you know, you've been doing it for 6 months and you have nothing to show for it. So this happens a lot in offices. So your experience was not unique at all, but you're unique, but the experience. So that leads me to the number 4 thing you need to succeed in real estate. Are you ready for this? Number 4. Drum roll, please. Okay. Now, this is actually a real easy thing to say, but it's really hard to get, and it's leads. Now, imagine that. In order to sell a house, you actually have to find people who want to buy a house. So where do you get the leads? Now, this is not the first thing you want, because of course you want the mentor, you want the class, you want the vibe. But now that you have all those things, you got to find the people to sell a house to. Now, a lot of these mega teams have different accounts. They have OpCity, they got Zillow, they have Realtor.com, which is OpCity, Trulia. Internet leads is at best, and this is industry standard, is maybe 1 out of 20 will pan out. That's at best. And that means you are calling the second you get that lead, because speed to lead matters. So you can't wait 2 minutes. If they want to hear about a house, they want to know it now. And I know if the Zillow Flex program is a live handoff where you're actually talking to the person right away. But then the other thing is like, those leads are the ones, the easier the lead to come by, the harder it is to work. I want you to think about this. The easier the lead to come by, the harder it is to work, the further chance of it not succeeding. Now, I'm sure you, Danielle, we were talking before the show, you've had some experience about showing property or working some of these leads. What have you seen out there?
Man, so I'll say just on the Zillow lead thing. So you're so right about it being like, if it's an easy lead, it's going to be a harder sale. Most of the leads that I had on Zillow were all mobile home, manufactured homes, super low dollar amounts. They want to see them 45 miles this way and then 100 miles this way. And, you know, so you're potentially driving back and forth and back and forth. And a lot of the people on there are also that I talked to were not even pre-qualified yet. So you could potentially be wasting all this time, which that's a whole nother topic we can talk about another time too, is like when to actually show people properties and what's worth your time, but also like trying to keep people around. But yeah, with my other leads, I will say, and everybody says this, but you're going to get more out of friends and family than paying for all these online leads. Like now, once you establish yourself and you're known as one of these big real estate people and people recognize your name, then okay, paying for advertisements makes a little more sense. But I made that really big mistake in the beginning too. That was like, I'm going to put a magazine ad out there and I'm going to put an ad in CBS and I'm going to, you know, and I had little ads everywhere. I had a budget and I spent all of it on advertising and it got nothing except for the occasional person at the gym being like, I saw your picture at CBS. I'm like, cool, you want to buy a house? So yeah, it's a lot about the people you know. And realistically, what I've realized so much too is it's not about real estate. It's about relationships. So like if I continually just check in with people that I know and not even talk about real estate, but I keep my name at the top of their thought process, then like if they are ready to buy or sell or they know somebody that is, oh yeah, Danielle's a realtor, you know? So
I love that. And you know what they say, don't be a secret agent.
As cool as that sounds.
Yeah, you want to let people know what you do for a living. So I 100% agree with that. And I did see her ad in CBS. It was really cool, right? When you walk in, it had a picture of Danielle with some hand sanitizer.
Yeah. It's like COVID era. So,
yeah, so it's COVID. And thank you for keeping everybody clean out there. I'm sure that ran you a bunch of money. And all you got is people saying, hey,
I saw your photo.
Saw your photo.
Thanks for the clean hands.
Yeah. But the great thing is you learn that drives up another point. When you're new, and I want to make sure I'm driving this point home, don't spend any money. Do not buy advertising. And all my advertisers for the show that were going to sign up just left because I said that. But basically what happens is brand new agents, and I think they see your license as being new, being a lower number, and they'll call and say, you know what, we can put you on this billboard, we can do this bus bench, we can do this advertising in the store, we can do this flyer thing, we can do a magazine ad, we can do, Facebook ads. And a lot of people get into real estate with maybe, $5,000 or $10,000 to invest in their business. Yeah. And before they know it, that money has gone.
Yeah.
So don't pay for advertising until you make money. So I always say, make money first.
You know what? That just brought up a point for me. I remember somebody telling me after I had spent a bunch of money on stuff, which $5,000 to $10,000 was about what I spent. And he said, everybody knows an agent. So like, basically the point was, why is someone going to see my Facebook ad or my ad at the gym or anything and be like, I want to buy a house. Who's that girl? And call me. Like, it's very rare that that's going to happen unless, like, say I have my ad at the gym and it's the same gym I go to and they actually know me in person or we've seen each other a few times. Okay, maybe then you're like boosting the familiarity with them. But everybody knows an agent. So why are they going to use you if their mom's best friend's brother is an agent?
Mm-hmm. That's so true. So once we get more involved in the business, you can use some money to farm to your past clients. However, when you're brand new and everybody tells you how to spend money in real estate, few people tell you how to make it. So let's go back to the whole leads thing. We talked earlier, and I want to spend some time on this, Danielle, because you've seen firsthand. The more harder it is to get, the better it is. The easier it is, the harder it is to work. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What are 5 ways to get leads. So we're going 5 within the 5, double fives. You ready for the double fives? Double fives. Okay. First one is the most important one in real estate, and I know this from different offices that I've been a part of, is when someone comes into the business, they can usually get 1 to 3 sales based upon people they already know. So you work your sphere of influence. Now, that leads me to the final point, and we're going to get to that in a second, but you want to let people know what you do for a living. And my first sale was a friend of mine, and I called him up and I'm like, hey, Chris, and he's still a friend today. I'm getting into real estate. I don't know how to show homes. Can I practice with you? And Chris said, sure. As a matter of fact, I'm actually thinking about buying a house. Well, cool. Let's do this together. I called and asked to practice. And it's funny because I took him out to the property. The first house I ever showed, I sold. And it was here in Escondido on Villa Rancho Parkway. And I'll never forget, he walks in, he's like, I'll take it. This looks great. I'm like, this is the easiest job in the world. Why haven't I been doing this my entire career?
Yeah.
Talk about some beginner's luck, right? But that's one thing you can say to your people is, hey, can I practice with you? Or like, I might have a listing presentation. I'd like to practice with you. And they say those who fail to prepare, fail to succeed. So you always want to practice. So main one is sphere of influence. Let everybody know, Danielle, like you're saying at the gym, if they see your ad and they know what you do and they talk to you, they're more likely to use you, right? Okay, so that's the easy one, is sphere of influence. The next one is, now there's different types of prospecting. And Daniel, there's circle prospecting. And what that means is circle prospecting is really simple. I'm not going to say what coach came up with it, but there's a guy, last name Ferry, who talks about it. And basically what you do is when there's a listing on a street, homes sell in threes. So if a listing hits the market on a street, and particularly if it's, with your brokerage or, with, your team, what have you, you can talk to the neighbors around that listing and maybe get the next one that's going to happen. So a lot of people say, like, if you're going to do an open house, you can do the 10, 5, and 5. Daniel, you've heard about this coaching where you knock 10 doors across the street and 5 on each side. So that right there is called an active way of prospecting. So that would be circle prospecting around the inventory. Now, I always say if you're around the inventory, good things happen. If you're sitting on your couch eating Cheetos, chances are no one's going to show up and want to buy a house for you. But if you're around the house, much more likely to succeed. And the next way to get leads is the way I built my business was the open house genre. Now, open houses can be really tough and they can be really discouraging because everybody's been at the open house where you set up the cookies, you got the water, you got the signs out, and 0 people show up. Ever happened to you, Danielle?
Yeah, or like every single person shows up with an agent.
Oh, you hate that. And you're like, I could be with my kids, I could be with my family, I could be
at the gym.
In the gym. I could be doing anything. So but it costs nothing to be there.
Right.
And the chances of someone walking into your house and asking to buy a house are very slim to none.
A lot less.
Yeah. But it's actually happened to me once in my career, and I'll tell you about that later, where someone actually knocked on my door and wanted to buy a house for me because they were talking to my neighbor.
How funny.
Yeah, they were renting down the street and they wanted to buy in the neighborhood. And I'm like, the thing that said never happens just happened.
Yeah.
So you get your easy leads, you got your circle prospecting, then you have your open house. Now the next one is, and this is probably the toughest, but the fastest to a sale, would be door knocking. Now, I've only knocked like 5 doors in 20 years of selling real estate because I do not like people knocking on my door, and I don't want to knock on other people's
That's
doors.
how I feel too.
Yeah. Do you want to elaborate on that? Have you ever tried it?
I've done a lot of door knocking actually, and I hate it. Like, I absolutely hate it. Number one, it's like really awkward because you never know who's going to open the door. And often you get people that barely speak English or that are like really old and they have problems hearing, and you're like screaming at them through the door. And then you're like, okay, never mind. This is weird. For me, especially like being a bodybuilder, I've had to kind of tone down what I look like so that like I'll dress a lot softer, I will lighter colors, I'll wear baggy clothes so people can't tell I'm bigger, because automatically people are like, they push back because it seems aggressive to them. So, or I'll go with another female that's like a lot more feminine than me. And so it's a little bit easier. And once I get to talking, it's usually okay. And I've met some really nice people. I've had some really cool conversations in door knocking. But majority, either they don't open the door, they do this little thing to you, or they're almost like offended you're there. And then if they have signs that say no soliciting, it's kind of a like, I'm not soliciting, but you're probably gonna get mad at me if I come anyway. So it's not my favorite.
I agree, and mine neither, and I can't coach to it if I don't do it. I don't think it's fair for me to tell you what to do for something I don't personally do. But I think there's a lot of people out there, including a lot of managers and agents I've worked over the years. They built their business this way because it's a way just to go out and grab business. But I'm giving you different strategies. And what I always say in real estate is, as long as it's legal and ethical, go with the way that works for you.
Yeah.
There's not one way to do this job. There's hundreds of different ways. So that's why you talk to all the different people. So I would say the door knocking is the fourth way to go. Now, time for number 5. And this is the best way to get business. And it's the hardest way to get business. But I'll tell you, there's agents in this industry and they live by this and they're so excited to have it, but it's not going to come your first year. Did anybody guess what it is?
I'm assuming cold calling.
Cold calling didn't make the list, but you can't hit the phones. I like your style.
Cold calling.
Okay, cold calling.
What is it?
It's about no. It's called referral. There is no better piece of business than when someone picks up the phone and they say, "Hello, Danielle. This is Mason. I was talking to Jim at the gym, and he said that you're the person to go to. So can you come over and look at my house?"
Yeah.
A referral is the best way, and there's agents who've been doing it for a very long time. And if you do an amazing job, which you will, I'm sure everybody will, they're going to tell their friends about it.
Yeah.
In business, there's a thing called a raving fan.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard about what a raving fan is, but Chick-fil-A has a bunch of raving fans, and so does In-N-Out, because there's always people at those drive-thrus. They create just a wonderful experience where, you tell all your friends and family about it. So if you have a great experience, you're going to tell one person. If you have a bad experience, you're probably going to tell 10.
Right.
So you always want to go over and above. And one way to create referrals, and I have talked about this for many years, is to ask for them. Now, how do you ask for referrals and don't be too bad? Well, this is once you're in a transaction, so you've already sold a house, and you give your client some good news. Danielle, congratulations. You got the house and the loan's approved. We should be closing with no problem at all. She's excited. Woo, right? That's good news. So by the way, if you know anybody else looking to buy or sell, I'd love to help them out too. She's happy. I gave her good news. She's ready to send me a referral. Danielle, I'm sorry to tell you, but the loan fell through and it looks like you're going to be staying on the street for an extra week. But if you know anybody looking to buy or sell, you can send them my way.
Go back to my cardboard box.
Yeah. Well, they obviously need homes because, that's one thing they don't have. Bad joke. I get it. We'll get some rats, but ask for a referral when you deliver good news. Never bad. Always good news asking for a referral. And that goes to my one other point is, and we're going to talk about this in another video, it's called closing in the kitchen. You always bring up business in the kitchen, never in the hallway, never in the backyard, never in a congested space. Always
not the bathroom.
Not the bathroom. Yeah, exactly. Even if it's like a very large, no. So you ask for a referral when you give good news. So those are the ways that I would recommend. Some people call them their spinning plates. You want to have all these things up in the air working at one time. Now, some offices also offer relocation, or they have a floor time, or they have different ways so you can take buyers around. So there's so many, but I'm talking about referrals. Number one, you got your open house, you got your circle prospecting. What else did we miss? Your cold call. No, you don't have to do that, but you can do the door knocking. And the main thing is sphere of influence.
Yeah.
A lot of agents know 3 people who are going to buy and sell in the first year just through the gate. So you let people know what you're doing. And that leads me to, do you have anything you want to elaborate? Talk about those 5 things, Danielle? I feel like I've been talking too much.
Yeah, but you're the one that knows everything. So. No, I mean, I I guess the biggest thing is like when we were talking about elaborating a little earlier on having a mentor and really making sure like you interview the brokerage. Like every brokerage is going to make it sound like, they're giving you a gift by offering you a job there. And it's like, it's not like a regular job. You're an independent contractor. You can choose any brokerage you want to work at. So I would definitely recommend interviewing like 3 or 4 at first and kind of make sure you ask those questions. How much are my commissions? Are there annual fees, monthly fees? Like, what's the split, what's everything that's involved in that, and get to know someone who's a realtor, like somebody who's been in the industry, and ask them questions to ask them about their experience at their place. And then really like a lot of it's kind of funny because I got super nervous with open houses and showing properties when I first started because, you watch some of those really big real estate shows and I'm like, yeah, I'm not driving a Lamborghini SUV and like showing $14 million properties in Beverly Hills right now. And so it'd be like trying to live up to this, like, well, my car's not good enough and this isn't good. And none of that even matters because first of all, hardly anybody jumps in your car anymore after COVID. They all drive separately anyways. And then, dressing nice doesn't even really matter either. Like we were talking about, like obviously know your audience. If you're going to be showing a $2.something million home and it's to some business executive, yeah, maybe dress a little bit better than this. But if it's your buddy and you know him, you guys are cool like that. Just be yourself. Like that's, I think another big mistake I made in the beginning was I tried so hard to like look the part and I bought all the outfits and all the heels and I'm like, that's just not me, and I was super uncomfortable. My feet hurt. So I went back to like, I call it like classy gym clothes when I show an open house. I'm not quite this casual, but like, it's like more relaxed, a little more comfortable. It's something that like I feel good in because my confidence will shine. And if my confidence is there when another potential buyer comes into the house, they're going to feel that. If they see my nervousness, they're not going to be comfortable buying with me. So yeah, I think that's probably it for me.
I love that. And, you look fabulous, by the way. So I want to make sure we're good there. I usually dress to whatever my clients are wearing. So if you're showing someone property who likes to wear shorts and flip-flops, guess what? If they want to wear a suit, I'll wear a suit. So that's called mirroring. You dress to your customer. Just like you said, multi-million-dollar place, you step it up. And those all the outfits that you wore to the real estate functions, you look great, but that wasn't you. But
right.
So that leads me to one of the main things is support. Now, this is the all-encompassing thing. Now, you got to have support at a number of different places. You got to have it at home, most importantly. And if your family's not all in, then there's a part of your mind that's not all in. So they got to be with you 100% supporting. I used to have agents fill out a sheet of paper saying, I'm going to do this and this and this year. These are the activities. This is the business I'm going to create. And this is how much money I'm going to bring home. And then I would send it home to have their spouse or others sign it and bring it back like a little permission slip. So that way the family would buy in to the vision. See, it's kind of an all-in type of job. I had this one agent that I worked with, and I don't ever want to give away names, not unless I have their permission, but he would kindly say to the new people when they walked in, he's like, don't quit your day job or don't burn a bridge, because, our success rate is about 10 to 15% realistically. Yeah. But the people who succeed are the ones that go really want and go all the way into it. And there is no backing out. There's a speech I used to give about a Spanish conquistador. What was his name? Cortez or whoever conquered the Mayans. And he did that by actually bringing the flu with him. But there's a term called burning the ship. I don't know if you ever heard about this, but he came over from Spain and he landed in Mexico. And before they conquered, they noticed there's a lot more of them than there were people who came over on the little ship. So all the people on the beach were saying, okay, let's go back home to Spain. And he's like, okay, let's go ahead and do that. Let's get a good night's sleep. So everybody went to sleep on the beach and they woke up in the middle of the night and guess what they saw?
Burning ship.
The ships were on fire. Everybody woke up and they're like, oh my gosh, the ships are on fire. Now we can't go back. And he's like, exactly. We succeed or die. So burning the ship is kind of the philosophy, like you're all in and whatever you're going to do, make sure you give it everything you got. And that is kind of the whole thing. And you want to have the support throughout. Danielle, I know you have support at home. I pulled your husband aside at the holiday party and asked him to ask you to help me do more of this, the video we're creating now. And because of maybe he might have been a little bird in your ear chipping away on that, but did he help bring you to this or?
Yeah, I mean, he's always been super supportive and he likes you and, whatever. I feel like it definitely helps. Like it's helpful if the spouse kind of knows, because that's the other thing too that can be hard with real estate is like you might have dates, like lunch dates with potential clients. You might have lunch dates with loan officers. You might go to meetings or parties where there's alcohol involved, or you've got to kind of have a spouse that trusts you in like a very comfortable environment, because there is a lot of like potential mingling that can happen in this industry, and you kind of see that a lot too. So that's another thing, even as a female, that I'm pretty upfront with being married. I'm pretty you have to be kind of solid with your boundaries, even like, especially I feel like it's more so with the clients than it is with like loan officers and stuff, because they have a risk. They can, they don't want to get a bad name, but a lot of clients, like, or you get the spam calls because your phone number is now everywhere. And it's like they'll look you up and they'll see, oh, it's a female. Oh, she lives over here. And, hey, I'm so and so buyer. I'm a cash buyer. Can I meet you over here? And it's like the only way that I do stuff like that is either if I bring another male with me, or I notify, say Mason or my husband or my branch manager or somebody that I'm going to this location and this is the description of the person that I'm meeting over there, like, basically everything like that. And I always meet in a public space as well. So I don't know how I thought of that, but that's.
No, I'm really glad you brought that up, because safety first. I take it for granted that I am a guy.
And you're like a big guy too. You're not like a skinny guy.
Safety is a concern for me, like it would be for yourself or other females in the industry. And this is a female dominated industry. You guys got real estate on lockdown. This is your house. So I'm just proud to be a part of it. But safety first, and a couple of things at a brokerage I was at before. And it was back in the day when people would show property and there would be someone at the office. And if you never felt safe, you can say, let me check on that. And you call and say, I got the red file.
Yep, we did that too.
Whenever you learned the red file, then the other agent would say, do you want me to call 911? You'd be like, no. Do you want me to come to the property? Yes. Okay, I'll see you there. So it's kind of a buddy system. And then one other thing, and I want to make sure that I'm clear on this, and anything I say or do is not 100% endorsed by anybody or yada, yada, all the things, but protect yourself over the property.
Yeah.
So say if you're in a house and some really shady person comes in, there's insurance on stuff, but not on you.
Mm-hmm.
So just always vacate and, make the call. So that's the most important thing, because we do have agents sometimes that unfortunately bad things do happen.
Yeah. I had two close calls. Nothing happened either one, but two of them were a little like, okay.
Yeah.
Teaches you to figure out ways to either arm yourself or, be a little more protected in some ways. So
absolutely. Yeah. Like maybe you do some mace or something like that and some pepper spray. But I don't know if you want to elaborate on any of those close calls, or that's a little too personal.
Oh no, I don't care. You guys want to hear it? No, I had one. I'll just keep it quick. There's one here in Rancho Bernardo. It was a very neutral location right by the freeway. I was holding an open house for another agent, and this guy comes by and he's like physically harmless. Like, dude's like kind of skinny. He was riding his bike. He had some tight little bike shorts on with like a short shirt. So this is what kind of threw me off at first, was you could see like everything because these tiny little gray shorts. And it was just kind of like, it was odd, and he wasn't wearing bike shoes, which is what my first cue was like, why are you dressed like you're riding a bike? But he was wearing like flip-flops. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of weird. And then he just kept asking me a ton of questions about the property, like details that not only were on the flyer, but like he would keep repeating things. Well, oh, can we go see the garage? Which at this location was not attached to the building. So we had to walk outside. And so I like would walk him out, and then he would like start asking me a ton of questions. It's like this little garage. Like, how many questions do you have about a garage? Like, he was just trying to keep me there. Like, and so I think he stayed there talking to me for like an hour. And then finally somebody else came in. Oh, and then when I asked him if he was interested in putting in an offer, he was like, oh, I'm just kind of looking around. I'm like, okay. So someone else came in, but when that other person came in, I just, for some reason, had this thought. I'm like, I'm going to go see where this guy is going. Like, he didn't scare me, but he was just weird. And so then I went outside, I saw him get into his car, and I just took a picture of the license plate, and that was it. So then I have a friend who's a police officer, and I had him look him up. And the guy didn't have a record, but he had a roommate that did. That was he had like multiple arrests for narcotics. And like what I think was that this guy was going around trying to find drugs, because a lot of times in occupied homes, especially in older people's homes, there can be narcotics in the like prescribed in the bathrooms, and people go through and try to steal them. Or the guy was just totally weird. But this guy ended up on Facebook. Like all the women realtors were like, yeah, we saw him too. And I think what he was doing was looking for open houses where females were hosting it. Because anytime he would go and there would be a male there, he'd turn around and leave. So dude never did anything illegal, but he was really creepy. I don't know what happened to him. That was like last year. And then my other one was like really far out Escondido, like middle of nowhere. It took like 40 minutes up this dirt road to get up there. And I had this property that was like 5 acres or something, and super desolate, no cell service. I didn't really think much of it. Like I grew up in a neighborhood like that. So I was like, whatever. This guy rolls in and he's like in this lifted truck, this Chevy, and he's like tatted head to toe. And granted, like I have a lot of tattoos myself, but they were a little more gang related tattoos. And he's bumping this music and he's by himself and he's kind of got these baggy pants and he's just like walking in like, you know, gangster thug like. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So I just act like it's not bothering me. And I'm just like, hey, you know, whatever, what's going on? And then he starts asking me like, oh, are you here alone? And I was like, well, yeah, but I was like, I have a loan officer who's on his way up here. Like, never say that you're
that was
alone.
smart.
Yeah, so
that's the tip of the day, right?
Yeah, like that was never like act like you're alone. He goes, oh, when is he going to be here? And I was just like, oh, he's on his way right now. You know, it kind of depends. He's not that far. And then he just keeps on asking me all these questions, and it was just like, then he asked me if I'm married, like stuff that was like not related to the property at all. And like I was just being super nice, and I was playing naive because I'm like, I don't want to get this guy mad or anything. I don't know what he's capable of. And then he ends up going outside, and same thing. I took a picture of his license plate and I texted it to my manager as well as the loan officer that I said was coming and who ended up coming, which was great. And nothing happened, thank God. But I know, like, and who knows if either one of those men were ever dangerous, but it was just kind of like, why are you asking me so many questions? Like, and then actually the next day, that same guy, the gangster guy, ends up texting me because my phone number was on the open house signs. Hey, this is so-and-so from, you know, I saw you at this property. You know, I really actually was not interested in the property. Would you like to go out to lunch with me? And I'm like, okay. At that point, I realized he was probably harmless, but it was just like, see, I knew it. Like he was not there to buy a house. He saw my picture on the sign and was like, oh, female, you know? So
safety first.
Yeah.
The way you get around that is you never let people know you're alone. Someone's on their way, and let every person know where you're at. So sorry to go up the whole scare tactic right there, but hey, Sean, come on in here, buddy. I saw someone just looking.
I saw the door. I was like,
so those are the main things. But you want to go ahead and the 5 ways to succeed in real estate. And being brand new, you want to have a mentor, and you want to have the weekly class. You want to have a grade 5. You want to get your leads. And trust me, if the leads are provided by the brokerage or by the team lead, they can be pulled from you. But when you create your own leads, only you can take those away.
Yeah.
And the last thing is the support system. You want to make sure that you have people who are behind you and believe in you. That's people at work, people at home, and that you believe in yourself, most importantly. So those are my main tips. Thank you for stopping by the little Mason and Danielle show, our first episode on 5 ways to succeed in real estate. We wish you the best.
Hey guys.